It's been 1 week since you looked at me. I can't even decide if I'm angry. 5 days since you laughed at me. Saying get back together, come back and see me. 3 days in the living room. I realize it's all my fault, but couldn't tell you. Say you've forgiven me, but it'll still be today till I say sorry. And now I want to look wink. Does it make you stop think? You'll think you're looking at Aquaman. I summon fish to the dish, although I like the shallow fish. I like the sushi, cause it's never touched a frying pan. Life like wasabi when I bust rhymes. Speak like Leanne rhymes, because I'm all about value.
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 29 of Lost in Translation Mon. I'm May.
And I'm Jay.
This week, we watched our war game.
Or alternatively, Digimon the Movie Part 2.
And we watched Summer Wars, but a bit more on that later.
Isn't it a children's war game?
It's our war game or children's war game.
Okay, they're the same thing.
It's Bokura no war game, which is, Bokura is like our.
I'm nodding. This is a problem.
Well, Boku is like I, and then Bokura is our. So it's our war game.
Don't watch a show called Boku no Pico.
Though, however, do watch a show called Bokura no, because that's really good. It's about robots and, like, aliens, and it's not Evangelion. Anyway, on to Postmon Pat.
Well, no Diginews this week.
No Diginews, because it tries out. We have no more Diginews.
Oh,
ever.
yeah, we're done.
Our first is Anonymon, and they say, I'm worried about 02 as well, because from what I've heard, the American dub is just plain awful, and I didn't like the season when I watched it in the original either. So, like, that's kind of worrying to hear for Jay, I guess. But I'm just going to tell him that as a kid, 02 was actually my favourite, and from my memory, I really like it, and it sort of improves on the mechanics of adventure, but that's just what I think.
I'm going to be going into it with low expectations anyway.
That's probably a
so
good thing,
all
though.
things considered, it's probably a very reasonable warning.
Because I'm worried I've hyped up Tamers too much, and you're going to come to Tamers and just say, this is awful.
I don't want to clan it my way through it and get to the end and be like, when was it meant to get good?
Yeah, 02 is not bad, but I hope that you don't hate it. Anyway, next Anonymon says, what is your interpretation of Taichi and Sora's relationship in that movie without knowing any future events? Do you agree it was ambiguous or clear that they are together? So first of all, in the original, it's mainly just like they're having an argument and they're friends, but it seems a lot more romantic in the Digimon movie. I think Jeff Nimoy's come out and said that he supports Tai and Sora being together, so maybe that had an influence on their relationship being a little bit more obvious in the English version. What do you think?
I think that there was enough romance implied in it. I understand it was a birthday gift, but it was such a weird argument to have, and it was just too much to pretend that it was between friends. I wouldn't say that they're dating, but it sounded like they were on the cusp of it very clearly, and that they were both interested. And I think the way you really get that is Tai's embarrassment by the little love heart thing that's going on, or the interpretation through to love as the subject letter, and then her reciprocation in which she goes all the way to his house. She stands out front of his door. You wouldn't do that. Even if you were having a weird argument with a friend, you wouldn't go over there. You would send them a message or something, and then she's all conflicted about it. It's based on the argument that they were having. There's clearly more going on than an issue over a hair clip, I think.
Yeah, she's worried that he doesn't think she's pretty with the hat or something.
Yeah, and I mean,
at least she's upgraded to an actual hat.
A very clear hat. He's very used to it being a helmet. And yeah, that's also obviously a point in the favor of that, where you go, why would she care what he thinks about her hair or about her hat? Why would she ever care what anyone thought about it? Unless she really wanted him to like it, for whatever reason.
So the next Tumblr message is from La Monstero, and I'm really hoping I'm saying that properly. So they say, when I was a kid, I was sad that I couldn't watch Digimon the movie in cinemas. So when finally the movie was on TV, I was so hyped I didn't notice how I disliked the movie until the third time I saw it. The way the children talked was a little off, the music was different too, and there was no moment that they weren't talking. Now I understand why everything was weird, the American dub. I wish the Digimon movie was only one movie, Our War Game or Hurricane Touchdown. In Latin America, it could have been awesome. So I noticed that in the English version, they seem to be talking very fast, and I think that's because they didn't talk much in the original version. They were all just saying, oh, that's something. Like, well, what's this? But instead of saying, Izzy was just talking about, oh, I'll do this, and more technobabble, instead of him just, not saying much. They had to force him to put more words into a small amount of time frame, because he was only talking a little bit. So I noticed that a lot, and I actually found it rather off-putting, and it, in my opinion, it made the movie less good because they were trying to force more words when they could have just had, very small sentences like they had in the original.
It was called Hurricane Touchdown?
No, the third part's called Hurricane Touchdown. It's actually got a really long name. It's like Hurricane Touchdown Supreme Revolution or something.
That's an awesome name.
It's good. I think it's good in the Japanese version. The English version cuts out half the story. We'll get to that in a few months.
Yeah. Also, we will discuss, I guess, our feelings about this movie in more detail later. I'd like to respond particularly, but I think the movie has a lot of problems beyond just the acting. It has a lot of problems in its presentation and its context, some of which are completely baffling, but we have a whole show about it, so we'll get there. So, next, we had an email from Edgar, and they say that they're responding quickly on the old man speech. It's not really something that happens in life in the sense that when you hit a certain age, you just start having to have a different grammar. It's just a grammatical thing in Japanese that implies his age. Most effective when it's a novel and you have no images, rather than a way someone speaks in Japan. However, since we don't have that in English, Genai just speaks more or less normally. Kansai Ben.
Kansai Ben. It's the...
Is that a guy?
No, it's the Osakan accent that I spoke about last time.
Oh, okay.
Where Nande Onen comes from.
Similar to the Hick accent in the US. And does Australia have that?
Yes.
Yeah, we do. We call them bogans.
Yeah. So there's a very artistic video that I'll link in the show notes called Siggy Butt Brain.
Oh my god.
And I think it's quite vulgar. So if you don't like that kind of thing, probably don't watch it. But it's a very, very good representation of what Australians sound like.
Oi, mate, I steal my lighter.
Yeah, and they talk about, smoking a lot, because that's what Australians do, apparently. And they all wear, singlets, Bintang t-shirts and thongs. Oh, yeah, nah, mate. You know how in England they have chavs? Well, imagine chavs with,
that used to be convicts.
Okay, they kind of make chavs look a little bit posh, in a way.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And
maybe
there's a lot of goon.
Yeah, there's this really cheap wine called Goon, which you can get for a few dollars. It's it tastes like the grapes.
And Edgar goes on to say that I'm right and that we should stop hyping Tamers and instead hype 02. While it's not Edgar's favourite one, it did do some interesting things, and he's certain that it's really weird translating this from the screen, to give you a moment, will really like at least one of the new characters. Is it Kari? Well, I like Kari.
You like Kari?
No, will I? Will she be better? Will she not be? Is she Jesus still? Do you remember if she's still Jesus?
I want you to experience it, but there is a character that I really like, but I'm worried about what the dub does to her.
Is it Wallace?
Oh yeah, good luck seeing that 40-minute movie where Wallace is and then never again ever.
Okay. And on the kids coming back, they did it through the magic of friendship and determination. It's through the magic of emotion. Again, Digimon isn't the hardest sci-fi. I'm allowed to overthink it, that's alright. It's all emotional and based on the feelings of the characters. And finally, they say that they don't understand the need to have Yamato's dad to be an original Digidestined. Why limit the universe? Also, would the kids have become Digi-Eggs? I thought about that exact thing. It's do the kids have to evolve back? Because if they're in the place that you go to in between here and Starter Village, do they have the ability to go and become eggs?
I guess that'd be slower evolution, evolving as we do through age. Maybe.
Yeah, a little Lekmon pops out, but it's pregnant.
Oh, please.
And
no Empreg, please.
We got one from SP, is that correct?
Yep. Well, that's just what showed up on Gmail. So.
Alright, so if there's a longer name, you should send us another email. They say that they've been listening to the podcast from the beginning, only occasionally commenting anonymously on Tumblr. You don't have to be anonymous, we still love you.
They're not anonymous anymore.
That's true, it's true. And finally decided to send a message, since you did a special on Try, but they'll know your Tumblr if you say. Anyway, they grew up on a different dub, and it was very faithful to the original. Maybe Brazil one at a guess.
Or any of
Any
the
other
dubs.
ones? Okay.
The Brazilian one like had a different intro. Some of them have like butterfly, but it's like got a different one. I think the Brazilian one kept the English
I
English
can't
song.
stand the Brazilian one with the woman in front of it.
Angelica, yeah.
Anyway, so they grew up in a different dub that was very faithful, and they're worried about what the American dubs will do to O2. So am I. So is May. So is everybody. And they say that they love Try, and I know May really loved it. And I came away from it, as I think some of you know from listening to our Try special, that I wasn't overly enthused with it. And then we talked about it enough, and I go, okay, I was kind of sold on it in retrospect, especially as intro.
I think the next few movies will be a lot better because they've already done the intro part. They don't need to introduce the characters. They will assume that you've already watched it. So I think there'll be a bit more. I guess there'll be more content. Like I think Jay was a bit bored with all the introduction.
I think my problem was that the introductions could have been more interesting. I would sum it down to missed opportunities. The thing itself wasn't bad, but it had so many times when it could have been great, but it kind of squandered them. Like when all the kids just randomly show up with all their Digimon around. That's not even a spoiler, because you knew that was going to happen. And they don't really do intros for most of them, just there they are. Okay. And I think that it could have been good scenes. And I just come off the end of Adventure, which last episode does a really good job of showing the kids one-on-one with their Digimon and talking to them and having like a personal...
We see Goemon and Joe reunite.
We do, but it's very short.
We shouldn't talk about Try too much.
No, we're not going to.
Yeah, some people might not be having...
But I think we can say anything. It's that there are Digimon in it, and they are with the kids. Well, with that being that's in the trailers.
Ty's in it.
Ty's in it. Did you know that? He's also the main character.
Yeah.
He's straight up the main character in this. There's no ambiguity.
So if you want to send us any messages, you can email us on Gmail. So that's lostintranslationmon@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook. We have a discussion thread on With the Will. You can comment on this episode on SoundCloud if that's where you're listening to us. You can message us on SoundCloud, and we'd really appreciate if you reviewed us on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you're listening to us.
Excellent.
So our war game starts in the original version with just Bolero being really loud. It's blaring Bolero. Blarero. It was. I liked it though because it was sort of a kind of a reference to when the egg shows up in the prequel movie and how all electronics go all twitchy and weird.
It's not even a reference anymore. That's just a thing that happens. That's canon.
I know, but it's also, I think it's referencing to the last time it was a movie.
Yeah, in the English one, that's very clear because it just happened.
Yeah, and they constantly reference the first movie in the English version. So Hikari's very adorable in the original version.
Actually, too adorable.
She's normal though.
No, but what I mean is that she wasn't really like that in the show. So I haven't written in my notes. Well, at the beginning, I didn't know if this was before or after Adventure because she was acting really weird.
It's a year and a half.
Yeah, so it's clearly after, but it never indicates that. And this is in the English one where the prequel had just shown. You got to imagine the prequel. We talked about this ages ago, right? Half a year ago.
Yeah.
So the prequel just shows, and then you skip to here. Is that Adventure is done.
Yeah.
And the kids are like this, and things continue.
Well, the movie came out after 02, I believe, or maybe... No, I think it came out after 02 because Hurricane Touchdown in Japan came out halfway through 02. So the movie would have come out towards the end of 02 in English. So it's assuming that you would know, I guess.
I mentioned this, I believe, in Try as well. In that Try special. But if you make a show, or if you make something, you should also kind of assume that that's someone's first exposure to whatever it is you're making. That's why they do before, like, Last Time On. That's why they do that. What in this movie is incomprehensible to somebody who has not seen Adventure before. The first bit, okay, it's a prequel. And then you skip forward, and you've just come off Tai and Ikari with this little dinosaur who goes nuts and, like, breaks Japan.
And now they're best friends.
And now, not only they're best friends, there's a million other Digimon. All these other kids who showed up out of nowhere have them.
The kids show up in the prequel.
Yeah, but basically out of nowhere.
Yeah, they don't have Digimon.
And they all know stuff all of a sudden. Who's Genai, right? It's completely out of nowhere. Imagine if you're a parent taking in a kid to see this. It is meaningless. Absolutely meaningless.
Well, you might just like the pretty colours and the giant fighting monsters.
That is not how parents watch these movies. I would know. My dad took me to the Pokemon movie and fell asleep.
Really?
Twice! Not in the same movie. He took me to 2 different Pokemon movies and fell asleep in both of them.
Wow.
He said that was the best sleep he's ever had.
I like the Pokemon movie, I think. I can't remember much about it, but I know
Maybe
I
the
liked it.
writers will give us a better part in the next one. So yeah, that's... Sorry, I feel like now is approximately the time to speak about one of the key problems of the English version of this movie, where it's right after the prequel, and it's got no context for anything that's happening.
I think it's assuming that... Because do kids watch movies without knowing, like... Do people, like, I don't know what kids like, Phineas and Ferb? Is there a Phineas and Ferb movie?
There probably is.
Do they go and see the Phineas Ferb movie if they haven't seen Phineas and Ferb? I know that there's the girl who just slams open the door and says, "Mom, what the f-?" or something along those lines. I'm gonna have to censor that.
You are. But just, like, you just watched Adventure, even, right? And all of a sudden, Metal Groove on fuse into this weird thing, and you're like, where did that come from?
I read your notes and just like, what is this evolution called?
What is it called?
It's called Jogress.
What does that mean? Jogress?
Okay, so Jogress is made up
It's
between...
progress when you jog?
No, it's joint progress. No, okay, guess what is in the English version?
Oh, that's the Japanese one.
Yeah.
Is it Omega Evolution?
No.
Oh, I'm sad. Is it cross spelled with an X?
No, that's in Cross Wars or Fusion Battle.
Oh, okay.
It's not Fusion, because that's what they use in Cross Wars.
Is it Mega Evolution? Wait, no, that wouldn't make sense.
No, you give up?
Yeah.
DNA evolution. Well, DNA digivolution.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, they're like splicing the DNA, I guess.
But they're not. They're becoming its arms. It's just Voltron.
Yeah, well, anyway, so back onto the actual movie. Spoilers, that happens, BT dog.
Oh yeah, spoilers for this podcast that tells you the plot.
Okay, so, yeah. Then I wrote after Hikari is adorable, I said Kari is a pain in the neck. So she just walks in and she's like, la, I'm annoying.
Oh, she's great.
And then we have Izzy, who says a very early 2000s thing, which is...
Huh? Prodigious! A computer virus on the internet!
He seems so impressed and, like, so surprised. I'm just like... I guess they didn't really think that computer viruses were going to be a thing back then, maybe?
Where else would you find one?
Yeah, like, first of all, computer virus already says that it'd be on a computer. And I guess, did they not think that you could get computer viruses? I don't know. 2000s, man.
No, on the internet you can't.
So, I've written, like, I noticed here that Izzy talks far too much from what is actually being said. Like, and I noticed, I've said this before in Postmon Pat, where he says things like, huh, what's this? Is that a Digimon? And instead of saying, oh, I will do this, I will connect to the internet, rah, 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 rah. And he says all these words, and like, I guess they're trying to make him funny. It's like, oh, I'm joke, prodigious.
The problem with this is that because he talks more, he says more stupid things that arguably make no sense and even ruin the plot a bit. He's talking about this virus on the internet, surprise, and he goes, oh, the virus is feeding the egg, which means that the egg isn't the virus, it's being corrupted by a virus.
Yeah, and they seem to be under the impression that this virus is making this Digimon evil, and they say later on, I wonder what would have happened if he wasn't attacked by the virus. I'm like, that's just him.
Also, it also says at some stage of the English one, it might not even be a Digimon. And then it evolves. No, part Digimon, part virus, I think they say. But also, like, at some point they're like, what if it's not a Digimon? And then it digivolves. They're like, I don't know what it could possibly be.
And also, like, through this whole movie in the English version, they seem to have the impression that it's looking for someone. I guess it's to link in Wallace from Hurricane Touchdown, which has nothing to do with the plot, by the way.
It is straight up a completely changed plot. With this virus, rather than just being hungry and eating everything, it's looking for somebody. But the problem with that is that implies it can be reasoned with because it's communicating. And if everyone just gave it what it wanted, because it's calling everyone's phone numbers, and instead of that being a screen of it eating data, and that's what everyone's getting called because it's a screw up, it's calling to look for somebody.
And it's looking for Willis, I guess.
Is it that guy? And he goes, okay, bye, and then goes to his computer. Like, that would do it.
Yeah. So then the butterfly plays in the original, and then Bare Naked Ladies plays in the dub. And
I really like that, actually. It fit really nicely.
Yeah, it goes pretty well. And actually, the intro and ending of this episode of the podcast is a mashup that First Agent did on Tumblr. And thank you, by the way. He's letting us use that. We have permission.
Fantastic.
Anyway, so poor Joe is studying, and I think they reference him going to summer school.
I thought it was middle school.
Yeah, well, in the
English.
English version, it says he signed up for summer school, but instead of like he's doing like middle school exams or something, or junior school exams. We really need to talk, Dub. Okay, so at the beginning we see that Mimi has lots of letters by her door, and on the door, of course, she has the family nameplate, which says Tachikawa, which is, her last name, and then it has her dad's name, her mum's name, her name.
And her brother's name, and her dog's name, and her cat's name.
In the dub. But yeah, so, Dub Riders. Care to tell us why you changed this nameplate, this wonderful, normal nameplate, to read, to Mimi, love Joe?
Tweet to Jeff Nimoy.
Like, I guess they really tried to push the ships in this, and like I posted the screenshot comparing both of them and just saying why, and a lot of people said, yeah, they just really tried to push the ships hard in this movie. But just like later on, we see that the Yagami nameplate is changed to the Kamiya nameplate, and that's to change the name because that's what his last name is in the English version. But why didn't you change this to Tai Love Sora or Tai Love Joe or Tai from Izzy or whatever?
That was made of metal. They couldn't change that. The kids aren't forging these things.
Yeah. Well, the heart looks pretty extravagant. But yeah, I'm just really perplexed by why... They know what a nameplate is. They use them. But why'd you have to change it to a love letter?
Because it was funny, and all the English writers wanted to do was put in jokes. Bad ones.
Also, suddenly, Ty's mum can't cook.
Yeah, I thought that was a really weird joke. Where in the original, she's made... basically, Izzy runs over to Ty's house. And that's where most of the movie takes place. And she's made oolong tea, I think. And she hands a glass to Izzy. He's like, yeah, thanks. And then she tries to give it to Ty, and he just says no. Throughout the whole movie, Izzy's drinking this tea. In the dub, instead it's like tomato juice, and
No, it's not tomato juice, because tomato juice is normal. It's like potato beef jerky shakes.
Yeah, potato beef jerky shakes or something. Then at some point, she wants to make a cake, and in the first one, she's like, yeah, I've got flour or something around. In the English, she's like, yeah, I've got wheat germ. Then she tries to get Izzy to help, and he's shaking out flour on the table. He goes, is this enough? And in English, she goes, I don't know, I've never used flour in a cake before.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they thought that it would be interesting to have her be this terrible cook when she does provide a lot of stuff a lot of the time. It only fits into two little jokes that happen, that get changed slightly. But one was unnecessary because it already took place, which is that over the course of drinking a lot of tea, Izzy needs to go pee. Except that in the English, because he's drinking potato beef jerky cake shakes, he needs to go poop. Because his stomach feels bad.
I thought he needs to throw up.
Or he needs to throw up. Either way, he feels sick.
Yeah, his stomach hurts.
But it's the same animation from running off. I mean, the last thing is that his mum burned something in a microwave.
Because of the virus that affected basically all electronics.
Yeah, and because it's computer controlled, and they say that. Except this one's just like, well, yes, I burned it. Yeah,
like it seems much more it's her fault rather than it's the virus's fault who just affected everything that's electronic ever. So, I don't know why they had to put in that joke. Maybe they bring up that she can't cook in 02, maybe they don't, maybe it's just a one-off thing that she suddenly can't cook.
She's in 02. Oh, because Kari's there, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ty would be there too.
I don't know. I haven't watched it.
Oh. Anyway, so the best joke in the whole movie, and probably the whole of Digimon, is said, and it's kept in both versions, and I'm so happy they kept it. So Izzy comes to the door and doesn't explain himself why he's there. He just says, the egg hatched. So, of course, Taichi, holding an egg, looks at the egg in his hand. And yeah, it's perfect, and they kept it, and I'm just so happy.
Not that egg! The Digi-egg! Of the thing that might not even be a Digimon.
Like, to be fair, if someone came to my door and said the egg hatched, and I was holding an egg, I'd just say, I'd look at the egg, because in his context, the only egg that exists is the egg in his hand. Like, he doesn't know about the Digimon, so it's a stupid thing for Izzy to say anyway. But I love it. It's a perfect line. I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And then Izzy's talking about his net friend in LA.
Is that Wallace?
Yeah, so
Is it Wallace though?
yeah, it's changed to Willis/Wallace. I think his name's Willis in the dub. I can't remember, and his name's Wallace in the original. I don't know.
Why would they change it? They're both American names.
So then they find that Kuramon has evolved to Sumemon, and Sumemon evolves to Karamon, and also he can talk in the English version for some reason.
Why not? Digimon can talk.
Yeah, but he doesn't talk in the Japanese version because he's not meant to be sentient. He's meant to be a virus. He's meant to be not smart. He's meant to just be feral and attacking
He was
things.
always smart.
He's a monster. I know, but he's like not like a.
He was crafty.
He can't communicate.
I guess he can now.
Not in the English version.
I mean, like, the thing with the clock was always there.
Yeah, he communicates with text like "I'm hungry" or "Let's play."
Yeah, so he can communicate.
See, I'm very thrilled because I can actually read what he writes because.
I read it because it translated into a big hello.
Yes, but I can read katakana and hiragana, and that's about it.
I'm proud of you.
I'm very proud of me.
Being proud of you.
I'm proud of me.
You can hear the sound of it.
So then we're reunited with the Digimon, and so Tai is reunited with Agumon, and it's very cute. They're just jumping around in this very cute, like, pixely world, and Genai's there, and then they talk, and then they say what they're going to do. Then Tailmon starts walking to the wall for a few minutes. Like, she just walks into the wall. I don't know why, but I guess they had to say that it was glitchy or something.
Like, because obviously that, whatever they're in operates under video game rules, not, like, it's not in the digital world necessarily. Because why would she be walking straight into the wall? Why would they be walking in 90-degree angles and not just be able to free run?
Yeah, I think it's like this isometric, like, game-ish area that they're in.
In fact, a lot of the mechanics of how the Digimon work don't make a lot of sense.
Well, it's a TV show.
No, it's a movie. They have a greater onus to make sense in a movie. That's the noise I would make.
I thought it was cute.
Oh, this was cute, yeah, but it begs too many questions about how things work later on, and we'll get there.
So then Taichi tries to call people. Joe is at an exam. Yamato and Takaru are out. Their grandma is very old. So, like, out as in they're at the grandparents' house. So when Tai says, "Oh, can I speak to Yamato or Takaru?" and the grandma says, "Sure, I'll get them," and then she hangs up.
I love that. So like, I want to speak to Yamato. Yamato is my grandson.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much done in both versions, which I appreciated.
No, but also, I want to talk to them. I like to talk to them too.
That was definitely in the English version.
In one of them, I think it was in the Japanese, she was like, "Great," and then just hangs up because she doesn't really get there.
And then she says, "Sure, I'll get them," and then she just hangs up very slowly.
Ding.
Also, I think after this there might be a bit of footage that's cut, but I'm not quite sure because I just couldn't find the English version. So there's a woman who's just looking at the meat, and it's like incorrectly labeled, and she's like, but I think that might be cut.
No, that's I don't remember that.
No, there was a guy. There was a guy buying the chocolate, and that was kept. So I'm talking about there was another scene.
Actually, the difference is a little bit distinct just in its impact, because in Japanese it's like, okay, 1,000,000 yen. That's pretty expensive. Like, that's really expensive.
It's still a few thousand.
It's a few $1,000s for this chocolate. $1 million.
Must be really good chocolate, paper or plastic.
Although this takes place in Japan. Like,
yeah.
The series has covered that this is Japan. Why are they using dollars?
Oh, there are worse bits where they try to censor yen. Like, even though they've already said they're in Japan, they still try to remove like references to being Japanese.
That's weird.
Yeah. So when Taichi calls Hikari, and she answers the phone, but she's at a party and wants to blow out the candles. And apparently in the English version, she's volunteered to be cut in half by a magician. And there's no magician shown, but why not? Because that's what they would have.
It just needs to be slightly wackier.
So Koshiro is helping cook. Taichi doesn't want to call Sora. Taichi gets very embarrassed. They go back to the computer. Cat's looking at the computer. Nothing, there's just silence. In the English version...
Thank you for visiting meow.com.
Was there a cat in this? I just realised they have a cat.
Yeah, I just said that was the bit the cat was in.
Oh, I don't remember seeing the cat.
Yeah, it's like, thank you for visiting meow.com. It's the best part.
I don't remember the cat at all.
Yeah, he was in that just one moment.
I'm totally... Okay, I have no memory whatsoever of the cat.
So, the Digimon go to the internet, and they have to use Izzy's password, which is prodigious. And so people around the world are watching the battle. Keramon evolves to perfect and attacks them during evolution, which I wish that all enemies did, because it seems like the smartest idea.
Why don't other enemies do that? The evolutions sometimes take several minutes. And if you can just stop them, and not only do you stop them, you shunt them back to being an adult.
Yeah, like, I think a while ago you brought this up, like, why are they just not attacking them? And I said it does happen. So this is the bit where it happens.
But the fact that it can happen here means that when Devimon just lets it go...
Like, would you just attack Patamon before it becomes Angemon instead of just staring there and screaming?
If anything made me hate Vamdemon more, it was this.
Yeah, like... If I was a Digimon bad guy, I'd attack all the Digimon during the evolution because that's essentially where they're vulnerable, right?
It's like 30 seconds to a minute of pure vulnerability in which you'll just win. And they sit there and they watch it and they're like, interesting. And the Digimon don't evolve at the same time either because the implication is very clear that they're not simultaneous. They're one after another.
Yeah.
Because when they're simultaneous, it's like in the last episode of Adventure when you can see them side by side.
Yeah.
It is baffling how much this ruins every other enemy in the series.
Yeah. So then an Australian boy emails them and says, how are you losing? And this is just replaced by Wallace. And he says, I'm sorry for doing that. This is my fault. It's like, no, just go away.
Is the Australian one Will Oz?
No, his name's probably Dingo or something.
Yeah, Dingo!
Or Eucalyptus.
Ah, my friend Didgeridoo.
So then we see a Ferris wheel speeding up, and the little girl seems really happy by the fact that she's probably going to die. And I think this might be cut in the English version. Again, I'm not sure. I couldn't find it in the English version, so I'm assuming it was cut. I don't know why it would be cut, but it was, apparently. I don't know.
I know, I caught one really big cut.
What was it?
We'll get there.
Okay.
But I love Ty's mom's watches the Ferris wheel's really going today. Like, no concern at all. Like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Ty, come and look at this.
So then we go back to Kari's party, and the birthday girl's face is so done whenever Hikari's on the phone. Like, oh my gosh, she just like, her eyes just square and it's funny.
The one change here actually I think is interesting is that in Japanese she's already on the phone. And everyone kind of just notices.
Well, this clip's removed. This one's removed in the English version, I'm pretty sure.
No, because she needs to be cut off by a wizard.
Yeah, that was the first time. This is the second time that she's at the party.
But, like, she'll do her big breath intake for the candles, then you hear bring, bring, because the phone's ringing.
Yeah.
In the English, only.
Yeah.
But in Japanese, she's already on the phone. Like, they changed it a little bit where one, they were all just kind of noticing, and the other one there...
I think they might have cut it for time. Like, cut it down much shorter and removed the second...
It's obvious that they have to cut it down for time, because, they've
got to fit it into a full
cram
movie.
3 movies in.
Yeah. I think it's like a 30-minute movie in the English version and a 40-minute movie, like, with, like, a few minutes of ending song, but still...
They needed to fit in this ending song.
They added on a clip from the next movie to the start of this, to the end of this movie, which I guess we'll get to in a bit.
I didn't watch it. I got there, I'm like, this isn't it.
Yeah. Well, you could have watched it because it was meant to be in that movie. So, their connection disconnects and Taichi's head does a complete 180. Like, that should not happen. Like, he just looks like he's broken something.
Exorcist Mon.
Yeah. So Taichi tries to contact everyone again, and in the English version, instead of just like beep beep beep, he gets yelled at by the phone voice person. And then Sora tries to visit Taichi, which I think they put here more to imply that she was just visiting him because he called or something.
No, because he sent an email, but it didn't go through because of the...
No, I know, no, but this part was, like, implied that was because that was why she showed up, was because, like, when he said, oh, just come over? Or was that later on?
No, because she was already gone, because she'd already come over. He left a message, because she was gone.
Yeah.
So, because she was outside, and then she goes, oh, you're a jerk, and then leaves. Yeah. So she doesn't get the message till she gets home.
So then Infamon calls him, like, on the phone, and actually talks to him on the phone. Like, he says, did you program me? Instead of it just being the computerized voice going, moshi moshi, moshi moshi, moshi moshi, moshi moshi.
This plot is really dated, because this plot only works back when the phone system and the internet were one thing.
Yeah. Like,
he wouldn't have escaped out into the phones 5 years later, maybe.
5 years later, really?
I don't know, 2006?
So,
there was more cable DSL than there was dial-up.
Well,
definitely 10 years later.
Yeah, good. Yeah, definitely 10 years later, yeah. The news announcer says, now some breaking news. Phone systems throughout Tokyo are experiencing difficulties. And then Taichi's mum says, a lot's going on today. And that's fair enough. A lot is going on today. You're trying to make a cake. That's fine. And also the Ferris wheel was going a little bit faster than usual. Anyway, so in the dub...
Phones have gone dead worldwide. If your telephone is dead, please call your phone company.
Well, at least my sister can't call me 3 times a day.
They had to put in 2 jokes.
2?
In one not joke. And also, they made it a worldwide thing instead of just Japan. Like, it's very much just a within Japan and Tokyo thing rather than a worldwide thing.
Well, that would make a lot of sense, what with it being in the phone system.
Yeah.
The phone system doesn't exactly extend all the way.
But I guess they're trying to tie in Wallace to all this in the...
He does go to America in both.
Yeah.
It's eventually.
So, yeah, so I wrote that the Sora visiting Thai clip is moved here to imply that she checked her phone messages and came only here. So it was when he was trying to call people and wasn't getting through, but now when he's actually leaving messages for people on the reserve system or something, that he was just she checked it and then was in two minds about whether she should visit or not. So yeah, it was moved there.
That makes her seem really terrible.
Yep.
That makes her seem like really garbage.
Like, because he said, "Oh, just please come over," and then the next clip you see is Sora about to knock on his door. But I'm pretty sure that was much earlier in the film.
Because I saw the Japanese one first, I just thought about it as she came over in the absence and she hadn't heard it yet.
Yeah.
Because when he left it, he would have just been inside.
I saw the Japanese version first. I just noticed that was different, I think. I think it was different. I might be wrong.
How do you use the reserve message system to notify someone that they have a message?
I think she just checked and was lucky. Also, same with Matt.
Like Matt and TK. Would they have just gone to the phone and been like, yeah, okay?
Well, I think the grandma might have said, "Oh, they want to talk." Like, he wanted to talk to you. Because she still went to get them.
Because there wasn't a TV running in there, was there?
Yeah.
They wouldn't have known.
No, there was the TV when they were watching baseball, weren't they?
They're watching baseball at her. That's in
No,
Summer Wars.
No, they were watching baseball in both movies. That's why I said it's the same movie.
That's the same movie. Holy crap!
And also, like, TK's grandma was watching TV and he was giving her a massage. So yeah, we find out that Mimi's in Hawaii, and she seems a lot more vain, as always, in the English version.
I actually thought that it was Ty's interpretation, like his imagination of what she was, like reading out what her postcard said.
Yeah, I just got that like that. That was just that's what she was saying in the postcard.
Yeah, she was listening to it in the postcard, but she wasn't yelling, "I wish you were here."
It was probably had exclamation points, like a lot of them. Yeah. I don't know.
But she gets back from like America again. She's always in America. Like, she gets back from America in Try. That happens as well. And she's just like, "Hey, everybody." Just starts talking about other stuff, even though really important things are happening. I
liked Mimi. I like her. So they use the reserve message system, and TK and Matt are able to contact them. Then Matt says,
"Hey, Ty, it's Matt. So what's the big emergency? Call me back." "Oh, I gotta go. Grandma fell asleep on TK again."
Does this happen often?
Apparently, he said again. So there's another little line that they had to leave in.
Did you know that they really like inserting jokes into the English for no reason?
So Infamon once again sends a message saying that he's looking for someone, which he isn't, but they have to reference Wallace.
He is now, though. Like,
this is somehow Wallace's fault that they're trying to get in this movie. So Takeru and Yamato try and find a computer while Infamon's eating America. And the clip of them going around to house until they find, go to a couple's house, is removed, and all of a sudden they're on a random's bike.
Yeah, that was the big one I noticed. I'm like, there's a whole scene that they just cut.
Yeah, so it's basically, if they find a house, and they go, "Oh yeah, there's only one in town, our internet's down at the moment, like our computer's not connected," and then TK starts crying. He's like, "Oh, fine," so he takes them on a bike, and then he goes to the barber. But instead, we just see them on a stranger's bike.
I feel like he's crying earlier than that, but it's been a while now.
Yeah. So then this
is...
No,
actually, they're not a stranger's bike. They're like, "Uncle whatever." They pretend that they know him.
Oh, okay.
In the English one, they change the line.
Well, they have to, because otherwise it's just a stranger's bike in the English version.
Just like when the kids get picked up by that random dude.
Who's their uncle? Yeah, cousin, yeah.
Sora's cousin.
Yeah.
It was actually just a random dude who wanted these 10-year-old girls.
Yep.
Ugh.
So this is where the bit where... Izzy says, "Oh, I wonder what the Digimon would be like if he was never attacked by the virus." I'm just like, he wasn't attacked by anything. This is just who he is inside.
Also, this is really weird for him to say when it's like, there are virus-type Digimon, aren't they viruses?
Yeah.
Does that mean that the egg was just beaten over the head by Ogamon a little bit?
Oh, jeez. So, yeah, Izzy still drinking oolong tea? Or I guess beef shakes? And then, so Patamon and Gabumon get on the internet, and there's not much talking. They're just saying, "Oh, look, it's Patamon and Gabumon." And, there's Tentomon and Ogamon. But in the English version, Patamon says,
"Sorry we're late."
"I was surfing in that and I wiped out."
Huh? Gabumon and Patamon!
Is TK on this ride?
He's not tall enough.
It's so garbage.
I thought it was cute, but I think it was unnecessary.
Oh, totally.
Another joke that I think they just wanted to make this movie funnier than it was. I think it's a lot more serious in the original.
Kids can't pay attention. Mary kids have no attention span whatsoever.
So then Infamon evolves and attacks Patamon again during mid-evolution. So I don't know why they tried to evolve. They should have tried to evolve before. They should have just said, yeah, last time we tried to evolve, that didn't work out too well, so let's evolve before we get to him.
And then he's getting attacked, and he's in the thing's claw, and he's like flying backwards towards the wall. And TK goes, "Look out!"
So then there's a really tense moment, and Taichi's just looking at the screen, and then Izzy goes to the bathroom to wee because he's had so much oolong tea, and then I think he just has a stomach ache and has to be sick or has to go to the toilet or something because he's had too many beef jerky shakes.
He's
or whatever
been
they are.
poisoned.
So then their internet kind of goes funny, and I think their computer breaks. And I really like what they did in the original version because since they're playing Braveheart, it just like sounds like it's lag